Today I'll be showing you a bridal reception look. Now generally when you think of brides, you think of very bright shades like pinks, golds and reds for sure. So today's bride as well is wearing a gold and red color dress. Now keeping all of it in mind and her complexion and her face features, I have decided on using a pinkish gold eyeshadow and going nice and hot red on the lips. So the lips are going to be the main focus feature here. So the eyes will have to be very muted down, but does not mean that it's totally nude. We will still have to use a shade of color so that it balances out the entire look. So I'll be starting off with the eyes as usual and then moving on to foundation, blush and lipstick. To start off, I'll be using a paint pot by MAC in the shade of Let Me Pop. This was in a collection of champagne. Any paint pot will work well. We just need a creamy base, that is it. Always use a ring finger whenever you are rubbing your eyes, because that's the finger which gives you the least amount of pressure, so it will not harm or hurt your eye in any way. Now for the eyeshadow, I'll be using this color. It's called Expensive Pink. It's a beautiful pinkish gold and it's by MAC again. I'll be using the Lord & Berry eyeshadow brush in the number of 815. For the outer corner, I'll be using a black, which is Carbon by MAC. Now generally, according to the color theory, if you'd put black on a pink, it would turn into a purple. So we're not going to get the black effect, but we'll get more of shades of pink and purple. So taking a little bit of that on the MAC 217 fluffy brush and blending it just in the outer corners. Moving on to highlighter, I'll be using this color, which is called Shroom by MAC. Using a dome shaped fluffy brush and just applying a little bit of it on the brow bone area, just so that it brings a pop of color. For the kajal, I'll be using the MAC engraved pencil, which does not smudge. Now for the eyeliner, again I do not want a very prominent liner because her eyes would tend to look very small then. So I'll be using an eyeshadow along with an angled brush. So the black eyeshadow Carbon, which I had used in the outer corner, the same way I'll be using it as an eyeliner. After the eyeliner, I'll be using glitters onto the eyes. So for that, I'll be first using a glitter gel by Kryolan. Just taking a little bit of it onto my finger and dabbing it over the eyelid, just where I need to apply the glitter on. For the glitters, I'm using the B&D Professional shade, which is an almost reddish gold, and taking it with another finger, not repeating the same finger that I used for the glue, and just dabbing it all over the eye. For the mascara, I'm using the Maybelline Colossal Volume Express and applying it from above as well as below. Now for the lower portion of the eyelid, under the waterline, I'll be using a little bit of Carbon as well as Expensive Pink to just add a little bit of color. I'm using it with a Sigma E20 short shader brush and just smudging a little bit to give it very nice depth and dimension. Next up, I'll be using the face primer by MAC again and rubbing it all over the face. Make sure that if you are a bride, you should be using a face primer because it will make your foundation last for many hours. It will give it a very nice finish as well. For the foundation, I'll be using Studio Tech. I won't be using a concealer right now because I feel that the under eyes will get covered with the foundation itself. So using a Studio Tech foundation, that's the cream foundation with a sponge. The good thing about Studio Tech is that once you are blending it, it is cream, but once it sets down to your face, it becomes powder. So over this, you do not require to use an additional powder. So now that I'm done with the Studio Tech cream foundation, I will not be using powder because it's setting down to powder already. I will be contouring her face. So contouring is generally done with a matte shade and preferably 2 tones darker than your original skin tone. So I'll be using a shade called Cork by MAC. Using it with a contouring brush. This is the one by Vega. You get it in different brands as well. Anything that's a slant shaped and slightly fluffy will work. So in case if you cannot find where you need to do the contour, you can just suck in your cheeks. So if we have Natasha suck in her cheeks, so this is exactly where you'll need to do the contouring. So that will be your demarcation for you to understand and know where yours needs to be done. Make sure that you're blending out the line or else it will look very artificial. And always start off with less product because lesser can be blended and you can add on more later. Next, moving on to the blush, I'll be using the B&D Professional brand and I'll be using a peach color because I feel peach looks very cute on a red. So just taking a little bit onto the brush and having Natasha smile and applying just a little bit onto her cheeks and taking it upwards. Drag a little bit whatever is in the brush onto the temples. Do not take more product because it would make you look very orangey or pink depending on the blush that you're choosing. I'll be using the B&D brand for highlighting. Just taking a little bit of it on a fluffy brush and dabbing a little bit onto the bones, just where you can feel the bones, and blending it to the brow bone area. This would look outstanding in photographs. Now anywhere that you think you can highlight, you can do it. That would mean the T-zone, which would be a little bit on the forehead, the center of the nose, the cupid's bow and the chin. Because just when you look at the camera and light falls upon you, these areas would tend to flash a little bit. Next, for the lips, since it's going to be a red lipper, we will have to make sure that the lips are nice and moist and soft. So using a lip balm earlier and taking it all off so that there's no residue of the lip balm. And using a red lip pencil, I'm using the one called Brick from MAC again. And just drawing an outline. Fill in the entire lip with the lip pencil and give it a nice layer of the red, over which we will apply the red lipstick. For the lipstick, I'm using Russian Red by MAC. It is a beautiful red and I feel it will go very nicely along with her dress. I'll be using it with a MAC 316 lip brush. Now it is a matte texture, so it's going to stick on for really long, and I feel that for a bride a matte texture is a must because you tend to smile a lot, talk a lot, and obviously you will be eating at some point during the day. So a matte lipstick is going to be very good for you. Now whenever you do a bright lip, make sure that you are fading out a little bit of the corners, the edges rather, because what tends to happen is that it looks very harsh. So the best way to do it is by using a powder, like a pressed powder or even a foundation powder for that matter. I'll be using the Studio Fix foundation powder in a shade very similar to her skin tone with an angular brush. Now it's the same brush that we had used for the eyeliner, wiped away nicely so that the black does not come onto the lip, and taking just a little bit of it on the edge of the brush and running it through the corners of the lip. This way you'll be able to very nicely smudge off the edges and it will look very neat. Once you're done applying the powder, just take any fluffy brush like a blending brush and rub it all through the edges so that the powder is all off. You can use your finger and dab off any excess that you feel is remaining, and if need be, use a bud to just get a nice round shape. This brings us to the end of another bridal look for a reception. Just at the end of it, make sure that you are applying a little bit of kala tika behind the ear for the bride. So I will do that shagun so that the bride does not get any kind of nazar from anybody. And make sure that you are carrying your lipstick along just in case you need to do a final touch-up. You will not need to touch up anything else. And keep smiling while you are taking a lot of photographs and getting married for sure. And I will see you shortly again with a new series of videos, and I hope you've enjoyed what I've shown you. Thank you so much for watching.